Eros Meets Agape is a bi-weekly heart-to-heart conversation about love, sex, marriage, and relationships. Everyone wants to love and be loved, but everyone does not know how to give and receive the love they both want and need. Intimacy and passion are essential, yet mean nothing if there isn't unconditional and sacrificial love, which is the foundation for any lasting relationship. Dr. Saudia is a licensed marriage and family therapist and minister. Let's listen in as she shares how to create healthier and happier relationships.
Hey there, family. Welcome to another episode of the R.E.L.I.C Meets Agape podcast, where I am your host, Dr. Saudia. I am excited to bring you another episode of the No Dessert Before Dinner series. And tonight we are going to talk about being a relic. Do you know what that is? So before you answer that question, since I am talking to my Gen Z and young millennials or other women that are out there listening, I want you to be a part of the No Dessert Before Dinner weekly text messaging that I send you. So I want you to pull out your phone if you don't have it out already, and I want you to text the following number, 1-877-7-LOVE-07. So that's 1-877-7-LOVE-07. And when you put that number in your phone, I now want you to type no dessert. Don't worry about any spaces. Type that all together as one word, no dessert. And guess what? Once you press send, I will send you a weekly text message of self-love, accountability, encouragement, love, and support. We all need help on this self-love journey. Why should we do it alone when we can do it along with our sisters? Because I am my sister's keeper. So with that being said, text that number 1-877-7-LOVE-07 and put in the word no dessert, and you'll get a weekly text message from me. So I hope to hear from you soon. All right. So back to my question for all you all that are out there listening. What is a relic? Let's talk about the answer. So you know what that means. Let's head on over into the classroom. I will see you in a second. All right. So in most cases, if we're answering the question, what is a relic? Some of you may say, okay, well, I think it's probably an artifact, something that is like an antique or an heirloom, right? Pretty close. It's basically some type of object that has survived in earlier time, especially something that's of either a historical or sentimental interest. But I'm just going to go a little bit deeper into this funnel system, so to speak, when I define this word. And I'm really looking at customs as well as beliefs that have survived in earlier time period that may be considered outdated or outmoded. When I think of a relic, that's definitely where I'm coming from as I talk to my Gen Z population or even my younger millennials or anyone out there who's listening that may be applicable for you. But in most cases, when I am really speaking to the No Dessert Before Dinner, the Gen Z and young millennial population, I would honestly say it's because I've seen some things that have been lost, I would say, through the generations because of maybe their age range or maybe them just deciding, hey, we're going to do things our own way. But you all know me. I came from a time where I went to the University of Michigan and we lived off of acronyms there. Everything was about an acronym. So even in this word relic, I am thinking of an acronym. Now, I am most definitely heading back to the fact that I'm looking at some type of custom or belief that is seemingly to be outdated. Notice I say seemingly, y'all, because it's not. But let's look at relic as an acronym. And that acronym is self-respect, that's the R, self-esteem, that's the E, self-love, that's for the L, and the I represents self-image, and the C represents self-confidence. So why am I putting all of that together? Well, when I thought about the No Dessert Before Dinner series, I thought about three particular groups that needed to be spoken to. Of course, I'm looking at my Gen Z and my younger millennials. And if I'm being honest, whenever we're looking at situations that possibly could lead to being problematic, we're seeing it eye to eye in present day sense. But guess what? We could have probably addressed it a little bit sooner. So if I'm looking at Gen Z and younger millennials, I probably could talk to those that are a little bit younger. That means the younger age Gen Zs. And those would be those individuals who are in high school. And if I'm being honest, nowadays, even middle school, because Kids nowadays have information at their fingertips. So sometimes if we get a hold of information that is before our developmental age and it has reached our mental age, then it can also age us developmentally. So what does that mean? That would mean if you have seen young girls developing a lot sooner, maybe when you grew up, you know why that happens? It's because they have become, should I say, a part of conversations or experiences that is outside of that normal age range. So in order for the body to catch up with what the mind has become aware of, it has to be in sync. So therefore, if I become a hold of information mentally, over time, the body catches up in order to go along with that. So when I'm identifying relic, guys, I'm really looking at it from the aspect of some things have really been outdated, outmoded. And what do I mean by that? If you pull up the gram, a lot of folks are flexing on the gram. There is a lot of, I would identify technically and professionally as body dysmorphia, meaning I don't really like how my body looks, so I'm going to change that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against anyone who wants to do anything to self-improve, right? We all want to be a better version of ourselves. But there's a difference between me disliking myself and then seeking surgery in order to make me like myself. There's a difference between that and I want to have better health, so therefore I'm going to do things to look healthier. But, if I'm being honest, having a butt lift is not going to make you like yourself anymore. Or even breast implants, that's not going to make you like yourself more. And I'm not really focusing on that conversation because that's really not what I'm talking about. What I'm thinking of is really if you go on social media, you see a lot of individuals who may have had some surgery in order to make themselves fit into the world in which they work, which are celebrities or entertainers or Instagram models or things like that. But I want us to really look at, can we be a relic? Right now, it's very important to have the outer self to be acceptable and pleasing to the eye. Thus, everything that we need to do in order to look good, meaning our full beat on any given day. I see young girls nowadays and I'm like, wow, you have the time to put on all of that makeup. I'm impressed because I literally was at my birthday party earlier this year and had my friend to do my makeup. We were about 22 minutes in and I told her I was done. And she was like, no, we're not finished yet. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I don't want to sit here any longer in order to finish this whole look. So she really rushed in order to finish it because I had enough. It just means that I'm not that girl. But that doesn't mean that everyone has to be like me or everyone is like me. If we're looking at social media and what is the norm nowadays, we are seeing people who, of course, have the full beat on. They look like superstar fabulous when they go on the gram. Some people, like I identified before, will have some type of cosmetic surgery in order to augment any part of their body or face that maybe they disliked about themselves. And again, going back to the point, it has nothing to do with doing something for ourselves that helps us physically, helping us to be healthier. There's a difference between that and doing something because I dislike myself or I want to fit in with a particular look for this type of group, whether it could be someone who, like I said, maybe is an Instagram model or is an influencer in some kind of beauty way. I don't know. I'm just giving examples out there. And if that's you and you're out there, I'm not saying that that's what you do. I'm just giving an example because nowadays our young ladies externally look fabulous. I do not discredit them in their looks. They look fabulous. And there's nothing wrong with looking good because it makes us feel good. But if I'm being completely honest, it's a lot of people who look absolutely beautiful. And on the inside, they don't feel that way. I saw a recent article And it was about a young lady who basically was the strong person, and yet she committed suicide, and she was in college, and she looked the part. She looked fabulous. And she was a cheerleader on the cheerleading team. That means, at least in my time, if you were a cheerleader, you were popular. People liked you, wanted to be around you. And her identifying as the strong person, meaning she was there for a lot of other people, but she felt alone and that no one was there for her. So what does that really mean? What am I trying to say? Sometimes when we are looking absolutely beautiful and fabulous, we do not feel that way on the inside. So when I talk about being a relic means how I am identifying is looking at it from the aspect, this is outdated. Nowadays, we don't really put a lot of focus and attention on building up and developing our inside. Instead, we put a lot of attention and focus on developing our outside, because we have to get that perfect picture so that when we post it on the gram, we can get all those likes that we want and all those comments, and then having people in our inbox. And while there's nothing wrong with those things, there is something wrong with that if we need those things to validate us and to make us feel special or important, because it won't come from that. Validation isn't an external. It shouldn't be an external thing that takes place between you and anyone. It should only be something that takes place between you, a significant other whom you love, or a parent. Okay? And we have kind of gotten away from recognizing the important things that we should focus on in building ourselves, so that if I feel a particular way on the inside, it will automatically shine through to the outside. But it does not work the reverse way, meaning we do not feel great on the outside and as a result automatically feel good on the inside. So with that being said, let me go ahead and explain what I'm talking about. I identified the 5 concepts: self-respect, self-esteem, self-love, self-image, and self-confidence. So let's just kind of pull those apart and look at the definitions of how I'm applying that. When we look at self-respect, we're looking at the confidence and the pride that we have in who we are. It's a dignity and an honor about who we are, or how we carry ourselves. I remember in high school, I can't remember what sport I was playing at the time, because I played a few sports, but I remember leaving practice and walking out to the car where my father was waiting for me. He took me home. And on the weekend, when I went to tennis practice, my tennis coach had said to me, I saw you leaving out of school. You were with your dad. You know, he knows my dad because my dad, took me to practice, back and forth. And he said, I have never seen a young lady your age walk with that type of respect that you were commanding. And I really didn't understand what he said. He said respect, and he also said confidence. So I'll come back to that a little bit later. But when he said that, I said, what do you mean? And he said, you walked with your head held high in a way that you commanded a certain type of respect. And I didn't know what he meant fully at that time. I mean, I knew I respected myself. But later on, if I'm looking at present day in life, in all honesty, I have had people to tell me the way that I carry myself with the respect that I have, that it could come across as being a little intimidating. Now, before they used to hurt my feelings, whereas now I feel like, well, no, you just need to step up, because this is how I see myself. And the boundaries that I have set for me, I want other people to honor. So when we're looking at respect, we want people to honor who we are, who we've decided to be, and for them to abide by the boundaries and the standards that we have set for ourselves. And we don't always see that a lot today, but we especially seem to not fully see it if we're not identifying as someone who is separate, standing apart from what is actually happening. Now, if I had to be completely honest, I'm just going to go out there and say it. You don't always have to be naked in order to look good. Just being honest. Sometimes men really like an illusion. They don't want to see it all. They actually want an illusion so that they can imagine what this could be. And I'm not saying you don't have respect if you are a little provocative in how you dress, but it gives the illusion that you may not have self-respect, because how we carry ourselves is how others generally will see us. Not meaning that they're always right, but it gives the impression, because if we walk with a certain type of confidence and pride of who we are and who we want to be and how we are behaving and honoring ourselves with dignity and pride, then that has to be respected by others because we are respecting ourselves. Okay. All right. When I look at the E, we're talking about self-esteem. Self-esteem is really just identifying with the value that we place on ourselves. What do I think about myself? What do I feel about myself? And what do I really believe about myself? When I think of self-esteem, there's always this social media image that I see, and it's always this cat that is looking in the mirror. And when the little kitten is looking in the mirror, what they see is the lion. And I thought that's such a bold image because it's really saying, this is who I am, but I see myself differently. And when we are looking at our self-esteem, how are you seeing yourself, ladies? It's all about what you are envisioning, because how you see yourself on the inside will be reflected on how others are seeing you on the outside. It's all about being able to really believe in yourself, believing that you can do certain things, that you can have certain things, and that you can be who you want to be. But if you don't believe in yourself, it's difficult for others to believe in you. If you don't think highly of yourself, it's difficult for others to think highly of you. People are going to follow your lead. And unfortunately, if you do not believe in yourself, it's difficult to convince someone of the same. It's the equivalent of, if you're trying to sell me something, then you probably either need to be a fabulous actor, Academy Award-winning or Oscar Award-winning actor, or you really need to believe in this product. There's a difference in how a person is going to speak when they really believe in something. There's a passion that comes as a result of it. There is a sense of, I am really connected to this thing that comes as a result. And so if you are a relic, meaning that you are seemingly outdated or outmoded, it's because you are taking yourself in a way whereas you are honoring and building up yourself with your self-esteem, because it is important to you, because you know it is foundational for you to get to the places that you're trying to get to. And I get it. We all have to build our self-esteem up. No one is 100% happy with themselves every single day. But there's a difference between me being down for a minute and then me being down and out for the count for good. Okay. So you want to build up your self-esteem. Now, when we look at the L, we're looking at self-love. And it may sound kind of silly, but it's really just, do you love yourself? In addition to you liking yourself, so it's an appreciation of your own worth, your own value and virtue. Do you love yourself? Because the things that you permit and allow gives evidence to how much you love yourself. There are things growing up that I just didn't want to do because I was like, no, I like me too much to be involved in stuff like that. Now, I would apply this same question. Do you love yourself? People who do not like themselves or love themselves, they abuse their body. Sometimes they allow others to take advantage of them. And I'm not saying anyone brings on sexual assault on themselves. I mean, people just literally just taking advantage of you. I remember when I was younger, to give you an example, it was a young lady that I was growing up with, and I can't remember what it was that I thought she was just really cool because she was way older than, the regular kids in my block that I hung out with. And I can't remember, but I had asked her something, and I can't remember what it was that I asked her. I don't recall that, because the memory that stuck with me was her reply was, well, if you go to the store and give me some Doritos, she'll either answer me or do it for me, whatever it was I was asking. I told her, okay. I had enough sense as an 8-year-old to know I don't need to buy this. This is not something that we have to purchase. It was a conversation. So I knew then and there, I don't like you because if you're trying to take advantage of me and you're thinking because I'm much younger than you, because she was probably in high school and I was probably about 8 or 9. I could have definitely been no more than 10, but I know I wasn't younger than 8. So somewhere between 8 and 10, and she was in high school. And I just recall she just definitely said, if you go to the store and give me some Doritos, I'll do this. I was thinking like, okay. Didn't talk to her ever again because no, I love me. And because I love me, I'm not going to allow you to take advantage of me. And that's what she was trying to do. So when I talk about someone taking advantage of you, it doesn't always have to be sexually. Sometimes it's just people doing things because they know that you may not speak up for yourself, or because you do not love yourself, you allow certain things to slide. Okay. Now, when we look at the I, we're looking at self-image. Self-image can sometimes resemble self-esteem, but think of it this way. Even though it's still how we are thinking, feeling, and believing about ourselves, which is what self-esteem is, think of self-image as, in addition to that mental picture, we are also identifying with being able to truly describe our abilities, our appearance, and our personality. So where self-esteem is how I value myself, or the value I place on myself, which comes from how I think, how I feel, and how I believe about myself. My self-image, on the other hand, even though it's that mental picture, I'm looking at different things, such as my capabilities, my personality, and my appearance. This together causes me to see myself a particular way, but it's attributed to how I am looking at those other things, such as the abilities that I have, my skills, my gifts, my appearance, and my personality. So if I am liking those things, then my self-image will be high. But if I dislike them, or if I'm envious of what someone else has, maybe my self-image could be low. And when our self-image is low, it basically attributes down to two main things: how I am seeing myself and how I am seeing other people. And if I am in a comparison mode, I could have a lower view of myself because of how I'm looking at someone else. But remember, we don't go home with people. So because we don't go home with people, we don't have any idea as to what they are experiencing at home and what they are dealing with in their own head. Okay. Another way of looking at home, because you carry you everywhere you go. And the more we can see our worth and our value and the gifts and skills that we have, the better off we'll be. So for example, for the longest time, I thought, I don't have any type of gifts. I don't even understand what people are talking about. I can't. And I thought of singing, dancing, acting, those types of things. When it was brought to me, no, you have to look at other things that are within you that someone else doesn't have. And I was looking over a number of different things. But one simple thing that I took for granted was organization. Now, it might not be important to someone else, but to me it is. And I've been able to see through the years little things that I do with organization and how I may clean up my room, right? Or clean up my house. Over time, I recognize, wow, when I'm studying, I like to have certain things organized with my study tools, my materials, so that everything is in its place in order. Today, when I'm counseling or coaching someone, I organize the content that is told to me in my head, and I can put it in its own little folder and pull it up anytime I need to and be able to separate them. I didn't come up with that on my own. That's a gift that God has given me. And it's so simple to me, but I had a best friend to tell me. I was over her house and I spent a lot of time at her house. And so when I'm cleaning up the kitchen, whatever, I would clean up the cabinets and all this kind of stuff. And this would make things easier, for her. And she said to me one time, wow, I wish I had the organization skills that you had. And I was like, what are you talking about, girl? All I did was put some things in Tupperware and pots and stuff in your cabinet. And she said, yeah, but I don't have that. It sounds so simple, but when you leave and we pull this stuff out and use it, when we go to put it back, I just can't organize it in that same way. And that's when I truly realized I'm overlooking this, because clearly it's different for everyone. I didn't know that. I thought, oh, everybody can put stuff in a certain way and it's organized. And that's not necessarily true. But what am I trying to say? I'm identifying the fact that it's how we are looking at our abilities, our gifts, our skills, our talents, even our appearance and our personality. When I was younger and in high school, I would not wear a ponytail every single day if my hair was done. And I swam, people. Yes, that means I had to get in the water, swim practice 5 days a week, but I made certain that, and I didn't have a perm, or no, we didn't have the natural hair look. It was not looking good growing up when I was a teenager, like you all have it today. No, but what was happening? I didn't like my appearance, so I wouldn't wear my hair in a ponytail. I automatically made certain that my hair was done, which means I had to press it out. That's right. That silk press was just regular press back then. And it was done every single day. That's what I needed in order to make me feel good, because I did not want to walk around with my forehead showing. But ask me, how often do I wear a ponytail today? That's right. The majority of the week, I had to put myself on punishment for wearing a ponytail this year. I decided, no, I'm not going to wear a ponytail. But if you can see me, my hair is in a ponytail right now. Why? But that's because wash day is tomorrow. So that's why it's in a ponytail today. But I'm trying to explain the point of appearance and how we are seeing ourselves, which is the self-image that we have. We can also look at it professionally. We see ourselves headed in a particular direction. And if it does not go well, then how do we see ourselves? Because we're looking at not just how we think, feel, and believe about ourselves. Those are innate qualities within ourselves. And we're looking at those intrinsic qualities. But then when we're looking at self-image, we're looking at this personal view of how I'm describing my abilities, my appearance, and my personality, because that too aids to how I see myself. Okay. Now we're looking at the last point in R.E.L.I.C. We're looking at self-confidence. And what is self-confidence really saying? Remember, I told you the story about my tennis coach and how he saw me and I walked out of school, and he said the way that I carried myself, he could see self-respect. He also said he saw self-confidence because I walked with my head held high. Now, I didn't think that was a thing. I was just thinking I was looking straight ahead. So that's what I do. But I also remember I worked at this local hospital, and people would tell me all the time, I saw you in the hallway and I was waving and you didn't see me. Your head was straight and you were focused and determined in wherever you were going, girl. And it's just me and how I walk. I walk with a sense of determination, even though I was just really probably going to the gift store, maybe the restroom, the cafeteria, whatever it was. I had this, according to what I've been told, this confidence in when I walked. And when I really thought about it with a little bit more detail and kind of looking at self-confidence in the No Dessert Before Dinner program for my Gen Zers that are in college age, I'm really looking at this confidence in our own judgment and ability. So if my self-image is a particular way, it's going to affect my self-confidence, whether that is negatively or positively. And we have to look at our self-confidence because it, in and of itself, is our own self-judgment of what we believe we are capable of doing or being or becoming. And we are relying on our own opinion or powers that we have without any other aid. So if I'm relying solely on what I think I can do, and if I don't believe in myself and have that confidence in myself, then my self-confidence will be low. However, if I do have that belief, then it will be high. All right. So that's what R.E.L.I.C means. All right. When I look at this acronym, R.E.L.I.C is the self-respect, self-esteem, self-love, self-image, and self-confidence. So together, what does that all mean? And why am I talking about that with the No Dessert Before Dinner series? And here's the reason. You are to be an individual who stands out. You were never meant to fit in. I know we strive to fit in, but you have your own individual gifts, skills, talents, abilities, knowledge. that is meant to be shown to the world. And it won't be shown if you try to fit in. And nowadays, fitting in on social media means, hey, you are just slayed from head to toe. And while there's nothing wrong with that, if your outside is as strong as your inside, then you are doing it correctly. And you are doing it with confidence because you have self-respect. Therefore, you are setting healthy boundaries. You have a sense of self-esteem, which means no matter what someone tries to say to you, it won't truly affect you. It might kind of bother you for a minute, but it won't settle and take root in you. If you have self-love, then how you care about yourself is how you will expect others to care about you. In your self-image, if it is high, then you're looking at the fact that you believe you are capable. You believe you can do things because it is how you are internally envisioning those intrinsic qualities about yourself. And all of that to say, if all of those things are happening, then you have self-confidence. You may falter along the way. You may never always get it right. You may never, always have the right answer, but you have the confidence in yourself to believe if you fall down, you can get back up. Now, sometimes we get all of this from our parents growing up. They teach us these things. My parents taught me self-respect. I was fortunate that even though they weren't perfect, they taught me self-respect. They taught me how to build myself up. But then I had a great support network with family and friends that I had great self-esteem. I saw myself a particular way and was able to develop self-love for myself. Now, everyone won't have that ability. Everyone won't have those types of surroundings. Some people grow up in some of the most horrendous environments where love is not given or extended to them. Therefore, it takes a toll on how you are going to see yourself if someone is putting you down as opposed to building you up. And I'm here to say, which is why I gave you that number in the beginning. If these areas are a struggle for you, then I'm going to help to just allow you to have the opportunity to think through certain things, to build your sense of respect and your self-esteem, your self-love, your self-image, and your self-confidence through the no dessert before dinner text messaging system that I've created, okay? So it's not a plug for that, but it's most definitely helpful. Will I throw in a shameless plug sometime? I most certainly will. Now, that's not the point in what I'm trying to do here, because I'm really trying to get you to see that right now our Gen Z, they're groups that are really struggling to find themselves. And who doesn't, right? Who isn't trying to figure out who they are when they are young teenagers or tweens or college-age students, right? We're figuring out ourselves because I'm now not under the house of mom and dad, or I'm thinking differently, and I'm wondering, is it okay to think a certain way? If we have the correct and healthy supportive network with us and we have proper teaching and guidance, then we can build in things that maybe we didn't have growing up. If we didn't have certain things growing up, then guess what? I can be put in an environment that will allow me to build in the areas that I did not have the luxury of having while I was growing up. Many times when people get in situationships, when they are in abusive relationships, when they have unhealthy friendships, or they develop just a low sense of self, it's because at least one of those things are absent. But in most cases, 2 or 3 things are absent. There's somewhere people are not respecting them. Somewhere they are not being encouraged to build self-esteem. They don't know how to love themselves, and they don't even have a sense of their own image, because how am I able to build that when I don't know if I even like myself? So that also attributes to how can I have self-confidence. All of that to say, everyone, we gotta stop looking at social media as being our go-to for who I should be and how I should be the person I'm trying to become. You want to stand out. You want to be different. And let me give you this last example. So no, this isn't a time where I'm going to give you some tools, tips, and resources. That's not about what we are discussing, because it's really important to know where not to look to build yourself in these areas. And while I appreciate social media, unless you can find someone who is on social media building you up from the inside out, then if they're just an outside in person and there's no inside that they're working on, yeah, there's only so much that they're going to do for you. So if you're going to use social media in that way to get understanding in these things, then find someone who has a healthy sense of self that can show you these things. But I want to make certain that you have the understanding that you are more than your outer appearance. There is so much more to you. You are so much more than what someone else sees. It's nice that they have given you that opinion, but that opinion does not have to stick if you do not like it and you see yourself as better. You are more than enough. I can't even say you're good enough. You are more than enough. You deserve love. You are worthy of love. You should come first. You are not a failure. You're figuring it out. And when you are a tween, a teenager, or a young adult, that is the time where you should be discovering yourself, but at the same time, respecting yourself, loving yourself, having a healthy sense of self, which means a healthy sense of self-image and self-confidence. All right. So I hope I've brought some type of insight and understanding to being a relic, but I'm going to close out to this last thing. Did you know, and I want to say, I heard this as a story that as a father told this to his daughter. He saw his daughter leaving out the house, scantily clothed, okay? In other words, that meant, y'all, she was barely wearing anything, okay? Which means, I'm not saying you all have to be like me, but I think I see dresses nowadays, they're like full-length gowns, but underneath it's technically looking like a bathing suit because it's a body shape and cutting off like a bathing suit would, but it's see-through, right? Some of them look very beautiful. People are carrying themselves well. Okay. So let's just say that as an example, even though that's like a higher end. Okay. So in this storyline, father sees his daughter walking out of the house and she is scantily clothed. With that being said, he begins having a discussion with her, asking her, does she know about diamonds? And pretty much she says no. And he goes to tell her that a diamond is not found on the surface. A diamond, you have to dig deep for it. And it is, you have to dig deep within the earth in order to discover diamonds. But a diamond, when you pull it out, it does not automatically shine. It has to be cut in a particular way in order to shine its brightest. It has to have the dirt removed from it that it was underneath. But more importantly, you had to dig for it in order to see it and find it. What am I trying to say with that? When it comes to being a young woman who commands respect, who has a healthy sense of self-esteem, who has self-love for herself, and who has a healthy self-image, and possesses a good sense of self-confidence, you actually won't start off with that immediately. You'll have to learn how to acquire that. But it's a jewel, a gift that when you get through all of the rough stuff and you figure out the importance of having those things about yourself shining through, then you'll shine like that diamond. That you had to work to get it, but it was worth it. And in most cases, we generally find that things that we work hard for, we appreciate more, we value more, and we hold on to longer than things that were generally given to us that did not have meaning. If we are easily giving of ourselves to someone else, they won't see value in that. But if they have to work to dig for it, to get close to you, next to you, because you have healthy boundaries, because you don't take junk, you have standards, you see yourself a particular way, then they'll respect you in your space, whether that be friendships or relationships. So that being said, you should be a relic. Right now, it's pretty much outdated to have a strong sense of self-respect, or shoot, I'd even say self-confidence and self-love. But if you possess these things, you require other people to honor that within you, but then they also see that within you and they give it back to you because they know if they don't, because you have a healthy sense of self, you will make it known so that they know how to interact with you, but you'll do it with love and kindness. All right. So that's it, ladies. I want you to be a relic. I want you to walk around with your head held high, loving yourself, having a healthy sense of self-esteem and self-image, but as well, commanding a sense of respect because you have confidence in yourself. All right. So be a relic. I encourage you to do so and those around you. That's it for today. I hope it was helpful. All right, guys, you know how I like to close out the show. I like to do a like it, love it, or leave it tip. What do I like about today's topic? Being a relic, I like the fact that if we were meant to stand out, then if I'm different, then that's okay. So I like the fact that we can encourage one another that it's okay to be different because that means that there's something special and unique about you, just like your own fingerprint that no one else has. And you need to let that shine through so that others can see it because your gift will make room for you and put you in front of crowds and rooms that you didn't even know were possible. Now, what do I love about this episode? I really love the No Dessert Before Dinner series because I'm trying to come to you all hard. I have to say things that maybe somebody else isn't saying, maybe that you haven't heard, but maybe that you really need to hear. You need to build a sense of self-respect. Get out of these situationships because he is taking advantage of you or she is taking advantage of you because they believe they can. But if you have a healthy sense of self-respect, nobody would treat you that way. I had people when I was growing up, if you didn't call me earlier in the day, I wouldn't pick up the phone if you called me after 9 o'clock because my mindset told me, oh, you kicked it all day with, so-and-so, or you tried to holler at so-and-so. And now that you got that underway and you are with the last few minutes of your night, now you want to kick it with me. No, I should come first. And since I don't come first, then you don't come at all because I'm not answering the phone. I commanded a certain respect. So if you wanted to kick it with me, guess what? You had to follow the rules. And I'm not saying everybody was perfect. I'm not even saying a lot of people liked it. I'm not even saying a lot of people liked me. But those were the boundaries that I put up. I remember being with some friends at dinner and I was talking to them. I was like, what? You felt this way about yourself? I didn't know. And how could that be? You always had a boyfriend. I rarely had a boyfriend. They were like, yeah, that's because you have standards. We didn't have standards. What did that say to me? That said to me, I commanded a sense about myself. So I love the fact that when you command a certain type of presence and you see yourself a particular way, you automatically command others to see yourself the same way. So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, see yourself stronger and better, because the way you see yourself, you automatically require others to do the same, or they won't be in your presence. And trust me, they want to be in your presence. And then what is my leave it tip? Do away with anything that gets in your way of preventing you from being your best self. If she, he, they, them, those do not see you in a positive light and don't treat you healthily or positively, do away with them. Stop taking those calls. Keep those texts on read or red. How do you all say it? I forgot. Keep y'all on red. However you all want to put it. Don't answer their DMs, block them, whatever you need to do. You need to let them know I'm done with that. I'm seeing myself a particular way and that's just how I'm going to flow. And you need to flow along with me if you want to roll with me. All right. So that's how I'm looking at it, guys. Coming to you hard, real hard on this time, right? But I think it's important. You want to be a relic. So make certain that you make certain, that's right, make certain that you make certain people treat you the way that you want to be treated, not the way in which they want to treat you. All right. Love yourselves. All right. That's it for today's show, guys. You know how I like to close out the show. Don't forget to rate and review us wherever you have downloaded this podcast. We would love to hear from you. And as well, you can follow us on all social media platforms at Eros Meets Agape. And that's right, one more time, you can get that number so that you can receive those weekly text messages at 1-877-7-LOVE-07 and just text the word no dessert, right? No spaces, just one word, no dessert. All right, till next time, I'm your host, Dr. Sadia, helping you to give and receive the love you both want and need. Till next time, be blessed, everyone. Bye-bye.